Hi, very good morning. I'm Dr. Janak Patel, MD, General Physician. All my video lectures are for educative purpose. They will be very useful to fourth year students and also will be useful to some of the lectures may be useful to first year, second year, third year also because some of the topics belong to those particular subjects. Also, they will be very useful to you during your oral exam, theory exam, during your internship and also during your private practice. Today I am going to discuss regarding what we call as a PUO or FUO, pyrexia of unknown origin or fever of unknown origin. Yes, you will come across this particular condition very frequently in your everyday practice. You will see during your exam while you are examining some patient, you will see a person complaining of fever since long period. It is a low grade fever and there are a lot of investigation which are being provided to you and yet there is no diagnosis. That we usually mention as PUO. Let us go through. We'll be discussing under these common headings as routine, definition, etiology, pathophysiology. Actually, there is nothing in pathophysiology, clinical features, investigations, treatment and complications. Fever of unknown origin or pyrexia of unknown origin. So we call PUO or FUO. There is something called as a classic definition where the person is having a temperature which is higher than 38.3 degrees Celsius or we call 101 degree Fahrenheit. Several occasion and duration of fever is more than 3 weeks. Cause is obscure even after 1 week of inpatient evaluation. Now this inpatient evaluation was replaced by outpatient evaluation, full investigation. So even after a 1 week of inpatient or outpatient investigations, still you can't identify the etiology, then it was put as PUO or FUO. So they say that temperature should be significantly elevated over the patient's baseline on at least several occasions. Fever is the most prominent symptom. Duration is more than 3 weeks and no provisional diagnosis after a standard history, good physical examination, followed by investigation like CBC, metabolic panel, urine analysis. They include even blood culture and urine culture, chest x-ray and abdominal ultrasound. Previously, these were not included in those particular investigations. Now these are included in investigation. In spite of all this investigation, still if you can't pick up the etiology, if you can't identify the etiology, it was put as PU. So after a good history and physical examination, you have to stop antibiotic treatment and glucocorticoids and you have to do ESR, CRP, hemoglobin, platelet count, total count, differential count, electrolytes, creatinine, total protein, electrophoresis, alkaline phosphatase, AST, ALT, LDH, creatinine that is CPK, anti-nuclear antibody, RA factor, urine analysis, blood culture, urine culture, chest x-ray, abdominal ultrasound and even tuberculin skin test is also included. What are the terminology which we utilize in this PUO? We call classical PUO or we call big three because this classical includes big three and there are other which are called neutropenic PUO HIV associated PUO, and nosocomial PUO. So basically we call as big three, that is classic plus unknown. So this big three is 3 plus 1, that is infection, which is accounting for nearly 40% of the group, malignancy, which is accounting for 30%, and collagen vascular disorders, or we call autoimmune group of disorders, which is accounting for 20% of the group, which will be totally together 90%. And in spite of a thorough investigation, still we can't identify, we call unknown etiology or undiagnosed, which is accounting for 10%. This totally becomes classical group, or it is also called as big three group. Apart from this, there is another group which we called as nosocomial, HIV associated, and neutropenic group. So these are the four groups, and this group includes all these four. So these are the terminology which is commonly being utilized in PUO. So we have got four groups. In this first classical group, which is further divided into four, that is big three plus unknown etiology, or we call idiopathic, unknown etiology or undiagnosed. So we have got classical group, nosocomial group, neutropenic group, HIV associated group, and now some people also includes transplant group. What is classical PUO? It is chronic or subacute course. Usually the duration is around 40 days. It includes infection, neoplasm, connective tissue disorders, and we call undiagnosed. Some people put one more group, that is miscellaneous group, which does not fit with infection, neoplasm, and connective tissue disorder. There is another group we call as a nosocomial group, meaning when the person is hospitalized, he is having a fever more than 101 degree Fahrenheit on several occasions. Infection is not present or incubating on admission. There is no infection at the time of admission, and his diagnosis is uncertain after 3 days despite of appropriate investigations, including at least 48 hours of incubation of microbiological culture, that is urine, blood culture, etc. Then we label that as nosocomial FU, and this includes septic thrombophlebitis, sinusitis, drug fever, and one of the most common infection which we come across in this particular group is Clostridium difficile colitis. So it is after 3 days of hospitalization, the person starts developing an infection where the person has got the risk factors like surgical procedures, urinary or respiratory instrumentation like catheter, and in respiratory like endotracheal tube, or he is on a long-term IV devices, he is on some drugs, he is immobilized, so he develops thrombophlebitis, deep vein thrombosis, etc. There is a third group we call as a neutropenic group, where the person total count is reduced, so he is having leukopenia, and in that the neutrophil count is less than 500, and he is having the criteria of PO. Classical example in that group is perianal infection, candidiasis infection, aspergillosis, etc., which we call as opportunistic infections in neutropenic as well as in case of HIV. So there is a strong predisposition to infection, atypical clinical manifestation, absence of radiological abnormalities, 50 to 60% are infective, 20% are bacteremic, only 35% responds to a broad spectrum antibiotics, and there is a severe decrease in neutrophil count. A person is neutropenic, absolute neutropenic count is markedly reduced. While a person who is HIV confirmed and he is having all the criteria of PUO, then we call it a HIV associated PUO. And in that you get opportunistic infection like Mycobacterium avium, tuberculosis, non-Hodgkin's lymphomas, drug fever, Kaposi sarcoma, etc. Those all opportunistic infections. So that goes into a group called as HIV related PUO. So we have got these different groups, and as far as the etiology is concerned, we already told you in classical 3. Here PUO is with neutropenia. This is after hospitalization for more than 24 to 48 hours. Then we call that as nosocomial. If person is HIV positive and he develops PUO, so these are the 3 groups, very easy. While in classic, we have got one group called infections, second malignancy, which is 30% of the patient, and collagen vascular disorders, which is accounting for 20%, and still 10% remains undiagnosed. So if you go through, almost in majority of the time, we'll come across infection being very high, malignancy is second, and then comes autoimmune group of disorders, or we call collagen vascular disorders. Those are the third group, and 10% still remains undiagnosed. Now if you go through all the 4 groups, among infection, it is bacterial infections most common like amoebic liver abscess, pyogenic liver abscess, then viral infections like cytomegalovirus, occult infection like dental abscess, gonococcal arthritis, epididymitis, chronic active hepatitis, brucellosis, Lyme's disease, Kala Azar, then prostatitis, pyelonephritis, rheumatic fever, sinusitis, etc. Among malignancy, leukemia, colonic carcinoma, Kaposi sarcoma, lung malignancy, multiple myeloma, sarcoma, atrial myxoma, etc. Among collagen group of disorders, Ritter syndrome, or we call autoimmune groups, sarcoidosis, Ritter's, pain-aortitis, inflammatory bowel disease, IBD, granulomatous hepatitis, antiphospholipid syndrome, allergic granulomatous angiitis, all these groups. And miscellaneous group, Behçet's, drug fever, factitious fever, Mediterranean fever, neuroleptic malignant syndrome, periodic fever, pulmonary embolization, thyroiditis, etc. There's a big list. See here again, this is a big list. Infection, malignancy, autoimmune group of disorders, miscellaneous group. At your leisure time, you can easily go through. In India, among infections, tuberculosis will come topmost on the list. Abscess, infective endocarditis, osteomyelitis, infected thrombosis, malaria, brucellosis, viral infection like cytomegalo, Epstein-Barr virus, etc. Among hematological malignancies, lymphoma, leukemia, multiple myeloma, then odd malignancy like hepatocellular carcinoma, pancreatic carcinoma, pancreatic adenocarcinoma, renal cell carcinoma. Among autoimmune, lupus, that is SLE, rheumatoid arthritis, vasculitis, sarcoidosis, Still's disease, familial Mediterranean fever, and miscellaneous will include good number of conditions like drug fever, factitious fever, idiopathic. There are a lot of other conditions which are not. These are all big group of collagen vascular disorders, or we call as autoimmune group of disorders. Big list. So we have already mentioned infection accounts for a large group. Neoplasm is second. third is collagen vascular disorders, and undiagnosed is accounting for 10 to 15%. And this is in India, one of the study which was done in India. So we are also having nearly similar pattern. Infection is highest, and among that you can see that tuberculosis is accounting for 45%, and among neoplasm, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma is accounting for 47%, and among collagen, SL is accounting for 45% of the group. So do keep this thing in mind. As we have mentioned, standard definition before, temperature should be there on several occasions. Fever should be most prominent symptom. Duration of fever should be more than 3 weeks. And person should have undergone all thorough history, examination, CBC, metabolic panel, urine analysis, blood and urine culture, X-ray chest, abdominal ultrasound, and even they include Montauk's test. In spite of all this, still if it is not diagnosed, then you put that as a PU. So this we already mentioned. So if any person who comes to the fever for more than 3 weeks, no known immunocompromised state, history and physical examination is done, antibiotic and glucocorticoids are stopped, all those investigations are being done, exclude manipulation with thermometer, drug fever is excluded. Now in spite of all these things, still you can't come to the diagnosis. You will have to investigate further to find out the etiology, which will include PET scan, CT scan, CSF examination, biopsy, etc. Those investigations will be required to come to the diagnosis. So this will be some of the additional investigation which will be required. Now this is a nice chart which I got from a YouTube, one of the video lectures by one of the prominent doctor, that initial panel CBC, metabolic panel, blood, urine culture, urine analysis, chest X-ray, abdominal, ultrasound, stop antibiotics. Now after that still you are not able to make the diagnosis. Now repeat blood culture, have an HIV test, interferon release assay. You can ask for LDH, ANA, anti-CCP, that is collagen groups of studies, ANA, ferritin level, antibody, ESR, CRP. Then you can go for CT chest. You can also go for a detailed investigation like ANCA, CPK, and consider some of the odd investigation like brucellosis, Q fever, etc. and depending upon the travel history. Even after that, still you can't come to the diagnosis. Repeat complete history examinations, go in detail for a drug history, etc. And now you can go for PET scan, WBC scan, etc., biopsy, CSF examination, CT brain, echocardiography. Biopsy you can get from bone marrow, lymph nodes, liver, etc. to come to the nearmost diagnosis, that is called tier 3 type of investigations. This is the way we approach. There is another algorithm which is being there. After physical and good history and physical examination, if there is a positive finding, you go for a specific diagnostic test. No positive finding, you go for CBC, electrolyte, LFT, blood culture, urine culture, ESR, skin test, that is Montauk's test, chest X-ray. If there is a positive result, go for specific diagnostic testing. If no, now you go for CT abdomen, with contrast, look for infections, look for malignancy, autoimmune disorders and miscellaneous group, and depending upon the suspicion in infection, you can go for this all these studies, which includes urine, sputum culture for A, B, HIV test, investigations for viral studies, depending upon the history of travel history, and then you can go for lumbar puncture, CSF examination, and then even CT brain, etc. As far as malignancy is concerned, bone marrow biopsy or biopsy from the structure which you feel to be involved, like liver, lymph nodes, those groups. And in case of suspected autoimmune group of disorders, RA factor, ANA, ANCA, different antibody titers for ruling out collagen group of disorders, lymph node biopsy, temporal artery biopsy, etc. And if after all this thorough investigation still we can't, then we put that into a miscellaneous group, or we call as undiagnosed group. So they say that 4 stages: careful history and screening test. Undiagnosed, stage 2, again review history, again repeat physical examination, and now you go for additional testing. Then you go for invasive testing like biopsy, etc. And last stage, they say that therapeutic trials on presumption, whether it is tuberculosis, whether it is bacterial infection, suspected bacterial infection, etc. You can give a therapeutic trial. So this is another way of approach. So stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 and stage 4. In this stage 3, biopsy, PET scan, CT scan, etc. are being included. So this is stage 1, which includes history, occupation, personal history, travel history, exposure to animals, past medical history, family history, drug history, etc. Type of pattern, you try to have a temperature chart and have a pattern. There are fixed type of pattern. If you can demonstrate, then you can suspect. A specific investigations can be advised for. So you can have a simple tertian, cotton, malignant tertian, Pale-Epstein type of intermittent variety, step-laden pattern, etc. But in an era of antibiotics, self-medication, drugs available on OTC counter, etc., this specific pattern is not clearly observed. And on physical examination, you can get lot of different clinical findings which can also give you idea either on physical examination or on CT scan. You can come across some of the classical finding which can give you idea regarding the diagnosis. This is a nice diagram. At your leisure time you can go through that. Some of the condition can be diagnosed by CT brain, CT abdomen. You can pick up good number of conditions. So CT abdomen can give you a lot of conditions like liver abscess, biliary infections, pyelonephritis. Those conditions can be picked up. Then you can go for your physical examination where you can have lot of different findings which can tell you some idea regarding hidden conditions. X-ray chest, CT chest can also give you a good idea regarding a chest condition, cardiovascular and respiratory condition which can be picked up some of the time. So do pay attention to those investigations and CT finding, that is CT brain, CT chest, CT abdomen. Look for those, and sometime even a bone X-rays. You can see here there is a conjunctival hemorrhage and there are Osler's nodes and Genway's nodes. This is classical in case of a in infective endocarditis. You can see a rash, typical malar rash, arthralgia, pleuritic chest pain, classical in case of SL. You can see a prominent temporal artery. There is a severe headache and there is a tenderness, and biopsy will show you granulomatous infiltration. This will be in temporal arteritis. It is one of the autoimmune groups of disorder. After getting all this standard investigation in stage 1, you will have to re-examine. In there, you go for blood culture, urine, sputum examination, pus, etc. You will have a 3 standard investigation: microscopic, culture and serology. And other tests include skin biopsy, or a skin test like Montauk's test. Very rarely the biopsy is done. Usually it is in a stage 3. This is called invasive procedures. You can go for X-ray chest and CT scans. Here you can see that a good peripheral smear examination at the time of fever can demonstrate malarial parasites in RBC. This is Leishmania, not commonly seen in India, but you can sometimes get a case of leishmaniasis. This is trypanosomiasis, not again common in India. This is microfilaria, again not very common in India. The other name for this is called Wucheria bancrofti. This microfilaria is called Wucheria bancrofti, parasitological name. You can go for a blood culture, urine culture, sputum culture, very important. And any person in whom you suspect CNS involvement, you can go for CSF collection, CSF examination, and send it for a culture also. Some of the common serology which are very commonly done is Vidal test in enteric fever, viral panel for hepatitis A and B, for cytomegalovirus, Epstein-Barr virus, etc. Common. These are common. And to look for autoimmune group of disorders, or we call collagen group of disorders, ANA, Alice cell phenomena, skin test, biopsy, liver function test, kidney test, so renal function test, liver function test, etc. are of importance. Montauk test, because tuberculosis is very common in India, it should be usually done. If it is positive, suggests probability of tubercular infections. And in stage 2, apart from those previous, you go for again body fluid, blood examination and culture, and you can include HIV, cytomegalovirus, Epstein-Barr virus, antibodies, other skin tests, those are included. Blood culture for different organisms to rule out infective endocarditis, etc. Then CT abdomen, CT chest, echocardiography, duplex imagination, contrast study, etc. can be done. CT brain can be done. Then PET scan you can go for, radionuclide scannings. And in stage 3, biopsy of liver, bone marrow, lymph node biopsy, temporal artery, exploratory laparotomy, etc. are part. These are all traumatic procedures. And in stage 4 therapeutic trial, mainly empirical treatment with glucocorticoids or NSAID and antibiotics. Then anti-tubercular treatment in presence of HIV and neutropenic person. Blind therapy will delay the correct diagnosis. But still this is one of the thing which is being done. It is called therapeutic trials. And in India, mainly tuberculosis, very common. So that trial is always given. And antimicrobials along with glucocorticoids or NSAID. Management therapeutic trials are done only in case of a doubt. Once you make a complete diagnosis, then specific treatment should be given depending upon the suspicion. as most common cause is infections. Usually antibiotic is a drug of choice. Depending upon the type of infections, the microorganisms, the culture reports, accordingly antibiotics are being utilized. In a nosocomial, change the IV lines, remove the catheters, replace by a fresh catheters, empirical treatments. Usually there is an antibiotic resistance. Broad spectrum gram-negative coverage should be utilized in nosocomial as well as HIV associated infections. Empiric antibiotic and steroids are sometimes being used for diagnostic trial. Culture and biopsy reports are utilized to come to the specific diagnosis. By and large, in a patient who is severely ill, you don't go for empiric trials. Among idiopathic FUO, some will eventually develop a new symptoms and findings that will lead to a diagnosis. Some will experience a spontaneous remission of fever. Death from underlying cause in idiopathic fever is very, very rare. But still, in those particular group, you can go for empiric treatments. These are the list of laboratory investigation done in a stage 1, which are all laboratory parameters with X-ray chest and Montauk's test. Stage 2 are mainly including CT scan, CT chest, abdomen, pelvis, plus additional investigation like bone marrow examination, lumbar puncture, biopsy. By and large, that is included in stage 3, but some people includes in stage 2 also. And you go for all detailed investigations for autoimmune group of disorders. Even you can go for echocardiography, etc. And in stage 3, all traumatic procedures like liver biopsy, bone marrow biopsy, expertile laparotomy, bronchoscopy, all those groups. These are all the big list you can go for investigations in stage 2 and stage 3. And then comes what we call as a stage 4, where you get empirical treatment for tuberculosis, infective endocarditis. You can put them on a NSAID and steroids, trial of steroids. So treatment will depend upon the etiology, and empiric treatment is for undiagnosed person. And complication will also depend upon the same thing. Complication will depend upon the basic etiology and will depend upon the treatment of what we call as what treatment you are giving. So I end my lecture here. I hope this will be helpful to you. You will come across good number of times some person coming to you with a big bunch of reports, and he'll say that I've gone to so many doctors, yet I am not been able to get relief from this fever, which is labeled as PUO. Lot of treatment has been given, still person is not feeling better. So those are PUO, and that will be a patient in whom you will require a good history, good physical examination, followed by a proper investigations, and then decide what treatment to be given. If you feel this lecture is helpful to you, if you like this lecture, press button like, do subscribe, press bell icon so you can get a notification whenever I upload the video. All my video lectures are mainly for educative purpose, and I think this will be very helpful to you in your internship as well as during your exams and during your private practice. So I thank you all for taking out time. I know that your time is valuable, and I appreciate you for spending some of the time with me. So we'll see you in the next lecture some other time.